Hello, and this is my review for WWE Tables, Ladders, and Chairs. And I'm going to go off and say I've knocked shows in the past for having just a sheer random factor to it. And this pay-per-view definitely had a sheer random factor, not in the aspect of what happened on the show, just the fact that they had 3 matches that appeared on the card out of nowhere with either minimal build-up or no build-up at all. That's what I'll go ahead and start off with, is that aspect of the show. You had 3 matches that got added to the card, 2 of which had minimal build-up over the last week, and the other one in which that just got added to the show almost out of sheer random chance. And the matches I'm referring to were the Kelly Beth Phoenix for the Divas title, the Evan Bourne Kofi Kingston versus Epico and Primo tag team title match, and then Sheamus and Jack Swagger. Now granted, watching these matches, the first 2 that I mentioned had minimal build-up. They had something throughout the week, and with Beth Phoenix and Kelly, they've had at least somewhat of a past feud to build up off of that as well. But once again, they really didn't do anything with those matches until like this last week, which for me, you don't really need to throw that on pay-per-view. You probably had enough time to build them up over the next month or something like that. That's what they were going for. But in the end, it was just sheer random factor. The matches were fun. All the matches that I mentioned were actually really good matches. They were fun to watch. They were good in-ring action, everything like that. And on the plus side of that, at least they went with matches to add to the show versus just putting some crazy, stupid segment in there to begin with. So there was plus sides to them just having the random matches in there to fill the time that they needed. But like I said, the sheer random factor to the 3 matches, it kind of didn't really work for me, but it's definitely the better alternative than what they could have done for Hopefully they'll either this will be the end of those feuds altogether, or the short feuds and the random match, maybe that'll just be the end of it, or they might continue something into the next month. But let's go on to pretty much the actual advertised portion of the card. The United States Championship match. You knew this was about to come, and it finally happened. I will go off and say this. They put this feud together with not Jack Ryder, but Zack Ryder and Dolph Ziggler. They did it really well, in my mind. You had a slow burn for Zack Ryder going for the United States title. They teased it. They've teased it for a few months now, and in the end, it does go for a bigger payoff when he actually does win the title. They get a bigger reaction, and all in all, the storyline culminated pretty well. They'll probably have the rematch clause go in there, and that will probably be it for the feud. While Zack Ryder has the United States title, Dolph Ziggler will probably go into his main event status here in the near future. And also, it was just a great way to start the show. To get a match in there that they know people will get going for, and all that aspect. So you would get great crowd reaction, and hopefully a good start that would keep that crowd reaction going throughout the whole night. So that was a good way of doing it. Sorry. The Booker T. Cody Rhodes aspect. You had 3 different segments of the show for this one. You had the initial one, which was backstage, and they had Cody Rhodes attack Booker T. It looked like they might cancel the match, and then it was on again. And then Booker T's coming out to the ring for the match. He gets attacked again by Cody Rhodes. They take him to the back. It looks like they're going to cancel the match, but they decided to go. But they decided to play the storyline out and allow the match to go on that night. And the match itself was actually pretty good. It was a nice little 8 to 10 minute match that both guys showed that they really are. Cody showed what he could do in the ring with a legend, and of course Booker T showed that he can definitely still go in the ring at this point in time in his career. So all in all, decent match, decent storyline that they built up going into the pay-per-view, and then the added little storyline that they put into the pay-per-view itself. was really nice as well. I ended up liking that entire area a lot. Sorry. I froze my brain there for a second. I'll go into the tables match next. That was Wade Barrett and Randy Orton. And all in all, the match itself was actually really decent. The parts that they put on there, it was a good match to watch. It was a fun match to watch. And this is going to be on my own personal opinion here. This was a match that I figured would be better off for Wade Barrett to win and continue a feud going on with Randy Orton, where maybe Randy would win in the end, but it doesn't seem like this is where the feud should have ended. They're obviously trying to push multiple people here with Cody Rhodes and Wade Barrett. They're trying to push these couple heels into the main event status, and it felt like this would be more of a spot for Wade Barrett to win this match, but they gave it to Randy Orton instead. Honestly, of course they did what they did, and it doesn't really hurt Wade Barrett's status because it's just the storyline. They can always continue the storyline, or they might end it there and have him feud with someone else for the time being. But I felt like for storyline purposes that it would have been better for Wade Barrett to win. They went with Randy Orton. We'll see where they go with that storyline, or if it just ends. Next one I'm going to go over is the ladder match with Kevin Nash and Triple H. Read so much going into this match that this was going to probably be the worst ladder match in history of the company. Honestly, I just expected a different type of ladder match, maybe a more old-style ladder match where there weren't too many top-of-the-ladder spots. There weren't going to be a lot of spots where people would be falling off ladders, jumping off ladders, which, of course, was going to be the case considering the two people that they had in the ring. This was definitely a more methodical, slower-paced. It was a mix of wrestling and the ladder match put together. They made good use of the ladder throughout the match. Now, Triple H has, of course, been a part of ladder matches in the past, so he knows what to do, and he probably showed Kevin Nash a few things of what he could do to put this match over. The added sledgehammer effect on there, it honestly didn't really do anything for me, but it was a nice little touch considering the history, Triple H with the sledgehammer being his weapon of choice and the whole sledgehammer attack by Kevin Nash. The match itself, it was actually really good in my mind. It came off really well. And it pretty much does show maybe Kevin Nash can do something in the ring still, at least if he's put in the ring with the right people. And maybe he'll get something going on. Maybe they'll still do a CM Punk deal with him here in the near future. But the match itself, I felt like it came off really well on the pay-per-view, and it seemed to be really enjoyable to watch, at least in my own opinion. Next match I'll go over is the World Heavyweight title match, and honestly, I thought that it was a nice it was like a fast-paced type match because they just went for the chairs right away, and I guess my biggest problem was it was almost a dead giveaway that they were going to probably have Daniel Bryan come out and cash in the Money in the Bank, and I'm going to go off and get into that spiel here in a second myself. But the match itself was probably no more than 5-6 minutes. Usually you should never do that for a World Heavyweight title match, especially having Big Show end up winning the title at that point in time. Of course, Mark Henry ends out attacking Big Show after the match, knocking him out. This caused Daniel Bryan to come out, cash in his Money in the Bank, and become the World Heavyweight Champion. I'm going to go off and say this first. It's nice to see Daniel Bryan get the title in the end. I've always liked his work. I've gotten to see some of his Ring of Honor work before, and then his work in the WWE has been really nice as well. So all in all, I'm glad he got the title. I wish they would have stuck with the storyline, in my opinion, for him cashing in at WrestleMania, because it definitely seemed like it would fit his character a little bit more than just randomly going out there when he has the best advantage and cashing in and winning the title. But that's on my own personal opinion, and whoever feels that way. Yet he definitely got a nice reaction last night for doing it, and hopefully he'll get to keep it longer than a month. Maybe he'll maybe he'll carry the belt into WrestleMania or the month beforehand. Who knows? We'll see where they go with it. The last thing I'm going to go over was the tables, ladders, and chairs match with Alberto Del Rio, CM Punk, and The Miz. And I'll go off and say, I ended up liking this match a lot more than I thought I would. Once again, this was a match that maybe wasn't going to put a lot of emphasis on spots, but a lot more emphasis on other ring work, different ways of using the ladder, and different ways of showing the ring work in this type of match. And I was pretty much right about that. You did have a few spots. You had the top rope enziguri moment where he hits CM Punk with a running enziguri, where Alberto Del Rio hits CM Punk with a running enziguri. He falls off into a table. That was a nice spot. You had a couple nice little top of the ladder spots in there, especially towards the end. Everybody was taking bumps extremely hard when they needed to. Everything looked extremely well, and I liked their resourcefulness that they decided to use they had that handcuff on CM Punk pretty much from the beginning of the match when he got locked to the ladder, gets out of it, and then have him get locked to the ring rope at the end was a really good idea. And the way him getting out of it was also, it was a nice little area, and it showed resourcefulness in my mind to show that they were using everything possible to get the belt off of CM Punk, and for CM Punk wanting to keep the belt. Him unscrewing the second ring rope was a great idea and a great way for him to get back into the match, and where he could just rush up there when both of them were going after the title. And honestly, I thought the match came off really well in many aspects outside of that as well. So all in all, the matches themselves were extremely fun to watch. I would personally probably rate this pay-per-view at about a 7 out of 10, mostly just because of the random factor, and they didn't throw every match that they had. Every match that they had out there was not advertised, so it could have been much worse if they would have. It could have been much worse if they just went with other segments outside of matches to fill that time that they needed. But all in all, decent pay-per-view. I give it a 7 out of 10. That was my review for Tables, Ladders, and Chairs, and I thank you guys for watching.